Hello and welcome to the Slapshot Syndicate podcast. Be sure to subscribe for more content, and whilst you're at it, go and follow our social media pages. They're on screen now. Now, on to the episode. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Slapshot Syndicate. We're back, we've made it home. Maybe a little less wear on our bodies after the heavy drinking session, lads, but good weekend.
Yeah, it was. I can't do it no more though. It was like solid. What daytime we must have had? God, £100 between us or something like that.
I think it's when you said, and it reminded me sort of like every time there was a break, we had like a pint in our hands, and it literally was. Yeah. And I was telling my missus, and I was like, oh, there was never not a drink in our hands. Literally, as soon as the period ended, it was back downstairs to the bar, and off we go again. To the point where the woman at that bar downstairs was like, oh, same order. I was like, oh no, this is not good, is it? I've only been here a few hours.
We don't get out much, so we thought we might as well take advantage of it.
Yeah.
You're quiet over there.
I am just reflecting on a big weekend, but no, it was amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Plenty of memories made, and I think the most important thing is that we enjoyed it so much.
Yeah.
We obviously went last year, and you've been to playoff weekends before, but I think this weekend was special, wasn't it? You know, there was some extra elements there, and like you guys said, we enjoyed it that extra much because we was having a laugh with our mates, which is top tier, isn't it?
Yeah, I think before we really get into the episode, I think we just want to say a big thank you to everybody we met and everybody who came and saw us and talked to us and wanted pictures and such. It was a bit of a surreal feeling, wasn't it, really?
Eye-opening situation, that, wasn't it?
Yeah, just a bit of a weird one. We're just three lads talking rubbish about ice hockey, and people were sort of excited to see us. I mean, it's not that exciting, is it?
No. I know. Yeah, no, it was quite flattering, to be honest, and we just obviously talked about before the podcast, like as I said, we're just three lads talking about ice hockey, which is what we're all passionate about, but to see obviously how that's resonated throughout people, and you know, people thanking us, volunteers thanking us and stuff, it was makes it all worthwhile, so genuinely appreciate it.
Yeah, massively appreciated, and we also found out that we are more liked by other teams' fans than our own fans.
I think so, yeah.
Which is always a good start, isn't it, I guess. But anyway, with that, lads, I think we best get into the episode. Next, Seahawks. So now we're going to do a little piece on the Seahawks. You may be thinking, well, they haven't played and they definitely didn't get to the playoff weekend.
Too soon, Aaron.
So what they're going to talk about. So anyway, as we was on our way to Coventry, we was playing a few little games like kids. So we came up with the idea of doing our own...
like kids. You want the ABC game or anything like that?
It was. So we decided to play like our own little awards for the season, didn't we, lads?
Yeah.
And sort of we come up with our different categories for like player of the season, import of the year, that sort of thing. Yeah. So we recorded this. It was a nice little 20-minute piece. We'll let you watch and just make your own little comments on it.
Just to say, you'll notice how he was in the car. Alex was actually recording.
I was holding it with my hands, so pre-warning, the camera may have been dropped a couple of times. I do apologise in advance.
I was very much concentrating on the driving, but unfortunately for us, we was sat in pretty much stationary traffic, so something to pass time.
Anyway, like we say, enjoy the piece.
Right, hello everyone. So we're on the way to Coventry at the moment to the playoff finals weekend to pass some time, and for obviously the podcast we thought we'd play a little game. Azza's got some categories and we're going to go around the car and basically say who we think deserves each award for our beloved Hull Seahawks, who sadly can't make it this weekend.
Unfortunately.
Oh, we also have an extra person in the car. Chrissy, do you want to introduce yourself?
Pop in, Chrissy.
No, I can't do that.
I'll show you first. This is our mate Chris. Mate, it is a loose term, but you know, only joking. But yeah, Chris has been a Seahawks fan for as long as we have. He came to our first game with us, me and Brad. Bit shorter than Azza, obviously, who's been coming for years, but he obviously knows the team quite well, and he does pop to the games every so often, so that's good. So do you want to set us off with the first category?
So Slapshot Season Awards is what we're going to play. First category is Forward of the Year.
Oh.
So I'll come to whoever wants to go first.
Anyone want to chime in?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go for the obvious, being Sobchak, just because, well, it speaks for himself. Top point scorer, absolute inevitable. So
Thanos.
Yeah, Thanos. I don't think we could deny him that one.
Fair play, Azza.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd just join Brad on that one. It's not just the points though. For me, it's just the general what he brings to the game. Watching Sobchak's been an absolute joy. The entertainment he's brought and the silky hands have been unbelievable all season. So it'd be stupid not to give him it, in my opinion.
Love that, Chrissy.
Yeah, I'm not going to be stupid then. I probably tend to agree. Like I said, stats speak for themselves, but also just a joy to watch on the ice.
Yeah, he's mega. I think we've got a clean sweep there, lads. There are honourable mentions. I'd like to give a mention to Jimbo as well. First full season as captain, I believe, and you know he's been mega, hasn't he?
Yeah, if he obviously didn't get his ban, he'd have been 100 points as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Did he breach the 50 goals? Was it thereabouts?
It was really close, wasn't it?
Close,
Emil Sweck as well, obviously.
Yeah,
I'd go for Sobchak too. Just a marvel to watch. I think he's half the reason I pay the money to come and watch Seahawks, to be honest with you. Since he's come last January, he's just been amazing, hasn't it? Yeah. So, well done, Sobs. You got the full clean sweep there, mate.
Next category.
The next category is Defenseman of the Year.
Oh, now this one's a bit more, not difficult, but it's a bit more of a varied. I can't imagine we're all going to have the same answer here.
No, I think we all have our favourites and who we like and stuff like that, but I think you've got to look a bit broader than that and see who's done what on the ice. And I think there's a few defensemen in my opinion that have gone a bit under the radar. So it'll be interesting to see what everybody thinks on this one.
Should we go the reverse way on this time?
Yeah, go on.
Should we keep doing like that? I can't actually think now. No, my defenseman of the year hasn't been with us all season. However, I feel like does go under the radar, like you said, has put some really massive shifts in, and I'm really hoping. I know circumstances are a bit tricky for this guy, but I'm really hoping that he'll be with us next year. So my defenseman of the year is Josh Hodgkinson.
Yeah, that's a shout. I really like that one.
Just solid, really
consistent.
You know you're always going to get 7 out of 10 from him, if not better. Stepped up to first line when he's needed to. Stepped down to third line, second line. Anything you ask of him, he's doing it. So for me, the Todge, some guy.
Chris.
Yeah, from what I've seen, I'd agree with Rossy. To be honest, Hodgkinson's been consistent every time I've seen him, and
good-looking lad as well.
Every time, just every time he's on the ice, just dependable, and you feel safe when he's there. So
100%.
Hodgkinson.
So for me, I'm going to go on James
James.
Yeah, James Chilcott for me. You know, he has been one of the guys who's been there since day dot in this season, and I think he's improved a lot and taken a lot of pressure in that defence on his shoulders this season. And, you know, he's been absolutely mint. Really like watching him, and he's like I say, his reading of the game's got a hell of a lot better as well, and his distribution from the back's got really good as well. So yeah, kind of one unsung hero for me, James Chilcott.
Nice.
Yes. For me, I'm going to go somewhat different again, and I'm going to give it to Tom Stubley.
Nice.
Just because there's been them moments this season where we've been up against it, and he seems to be one of the people that's dragged us through with being consistent with his performance. And some games, like he's had absolute blinders and dragged that defence through. So yeah,
he's getting that nice little goal last game of the season.
Yeah.
Deserved it, didn't he? He deserved it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. I think another one that we need to mention is Lee Hayward as well.
Yeah.
Since he's come in at the start of the season, he's been fantastic. That when we missed him for his injury, his injury, it showed massively. That was during that November slump,
wasn't it?
Yeah. Just I think if I had chose Josh Hodgkinson, all you guys had really good choices as well. But I think I'd have gone for Lee Hayward as well. I think he was great. But yeah.
Next category
is Player of the Year.
Ooh, overall. Okay.
This one is a tough one, I think.
Yeah.
I'll go first because I'm going to go for the same as what I've actually voted officially with the club.
I think I'm going to go the same as you.
And it's Lee Bonner for me.
Nice.
The Burns. I think he's been absolutely class. Again, he's another player that when he's on the ice, he's hard hitting, fast. You know, he does these little silky moves, little skill moves, and scores great goals. And I think, you know, at times this season we've relied on his gritty play. And do you know what? I wouldn't want anybody else in my team.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm going to go the same as you, as so I might as well do mine now. I fully agree with you. When we needed that sort of injection of energy, Bones has been the one to bring it. I know we could obviously give this to Sobchak as well for the amount of goals he's put
Yeah.
He's shown that grit that we've needed, and yeah, it's definitely been the player for me.
Chrissy?
Yeah, I totally agree with the Bones. He's my favourite Seahawks player, to be honest. Just the way he goes about his play, his business. Yeah, absolutely outstanding this season, and every week he just turns up for the team.
You always know what you're going to get, don't you?
The only thing we don't like is the green hair.
Want a good look, that, Lee. Sorry about that, mate. I'm going to go for one, which at the start of the season would have been a flabbergaster.
I know what you're going to say.
So, for context, at the start of this, like Brad said, it'd be easy to go for Sobs because of the points. So I think forward, yes, like amazing. At the back, obviously, I'm a real fan of Josh Hodgkinson, but I think Player of the Year for me, I'd like to go for somebody who does both sides. And at the start of the season, I was a massive fan of the person he replaced, but from that point, he has totally won me over. I think Johnny Corneal over the course of the season actually is, we say about 7 out of 10s every week and stuff like that, but the amount of times we've relied on him and he's come through penalty shootouts.
I was going to say one of the best penalty shootout players I've seen.
You know, points you can't. You know, for the amount of points he's put up as a second line player, you can't wince at that. He's formed a real good connection with Bonner and Hewitt. And you know, I just think anything he's been asked to do, he's done it. He's been really good. He grafts hard. Like, I was really surprised towards the end of the season how physical he was becoming, you know, with the teams, because he just showed that he cared, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he'll be with us next season. Personally, if there was a way to sort that, I would like to see him again with us next season. But if not, like I say, I want to be the first to go on record and say at the start of the season I was like, why have we got rid of Hadas? And now I totally understand the reason why.
That's interesting, because I've just added another category now.
Yeah.
And it's import of the year.
Ooh.
And now you've just said that, I thought this would have been a clean sweep again, but I wonder if you're going to now follow that same suit with your import of the year.
There you go, maybe so. We'll have to find out.
Go on, what's the next category then?
Import of the year.
Oh, is it
that was
the
quick.
next one? Oh.
I think it's an hard one. I'll go for Johnny Corneal again. I know that might sound crazy because of what Sobs has done.
Yeah.
And that's not me saying I don't appreciate what Sobchak's done, because he's fantastic, and you know, he's the first player I'd sign up for next season, which we have obviously. But yeah, just for the reasons I've just said, I'll go Johnny.
Okay, I'll go next, because I'm again not going to go for Corneal, and I'm not going to go for Sobchak. I'm going to go for Emil Svek.
Nice.
And the reason behind this is
That
we
goal.
did the goal that we saw in the penalty shootout. But bigger than that, we had a sit down with Matty Davis and talked about Emil Svek and how he's been playing. And Emil Svek had to change his game a lot to suit the new style of the Seahawks. And to ask a player who's played in the league before, played many years, and obviously he's known for that big slap shot, and instead has had to change the game to suit Seahawks, it's real credit to him.
That's true, that, yeah.
Do you know, a player to do that and be willing to do it?
He ain't the kind.
Fair play.
Yeah, he hasn't been the kind of player to come out and be like kicking off or anything like that.
No.
You know, he gets his head down and he gets back. For a good guy of his size, can you imagine how tall that is on his body?
Absolutely.
And he's still putting up all those points. You know, like.
Well, like you say, he still broke 100 points.
Exactly, absolute testament to him. Like,
absolutely.
really good. Fair players.
So I'm going to go cliche though for Sobchak, just because I feel like if one of us didn't mention him or have him in this category,
It'd be a
something's wrong.
travesty.
It'd be a travesty, exactly. Yeah, just for the amount of points he's put up, and more importantly, like the game we had basically the run up to these playoffs, getting 3 hat-tricks in 3 games.
Yeah.
It's just proven what he's about, and to be honest, he dragged us through quite a lot of it, so I think it'd be difficult to not have him.
What are you saying, Chris?
Yeah, I don't have to go for some changes.
Yeah.
Stats speak for themselves, but I totally agree with your points on Corneal and Emil Svek as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, good little variation there.
That was nice.
So, next category, Brit of the Year.
Nah, it's like this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Has everybody got a shout, or do we need to go?
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'm going to go for Bobby Chamberlain.
Nice.
For the exact reasons we've already mentioned. You know, taking the captaincy this year, leader, legend, goal scorer.
Yes.
You know, like I say, without the suspensions, which, you know, might have been a bit daft at the time, but he's fighting for his club.
Yeah.
You know, being the man to be called upon, so you can.
So everyone says, don't they? Everyone hates him, but everyone would have him in their team.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
You
That
know,
sums him up.
There's been games where we have relied on him scoring or creating or just doing what he does on the ice, and yeah, it's easy to look at the imports that he's playing with on that top line, but he is a top draw Brit, and for me, yeah, he's probably the best in our team.
And for the exact same reasons, I've gone Bobby as well for that. So.
What are you saying, Chris?
I'd go for Burns again, just backing up on what he said.
Yeah.
Like that. I'm going to go for a different one. Jason Hewitt.
That's a good shout.
I think Huey coming in has added a different element to us. I think our power play looks fantastic now, and I think he's a massive part of that.
Calm and composed.
Especially in the first half of the season, he was bagging up on the power play. Just brings a bit of extra experience to us, and again, one of those players that at the start of the season people were sort of questioning the reasoning and stuff like that, but I think you can't deny the fact that he came in and has done fantastic. Also stepped in for us when Matty had that spell on the sideline as well and did great. So
yeah,
for me, Huey's been massive for us, so I want to go for Jason Hewitt.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Next category is the most improved.
Deck Jones.
Deck Jones.
Is that because of the word that you had from last year?
Yeah, I think so. I think the start of this season we was all quite shocked at how well he was playing. You know, he's shown this season he's able to drop the gloves and people when he does. But he's obviously worked a lot on his game, and just he's worked on himself as well. He's put on a lot of timber and stuff. So I think he's done a great job, and it's shown on the ice. You know, he's probably not gone under the radar a little bit because we've had such high performing players, but for me it was between him and Slice. I think Jones just edges it for me.
Fair. Azza?
I'm going to go for Owen Brutton. You know, I know he's had a bit of time with GB this year, but like in the last few weeks and stuff, when Chambo has been suspended, Brutton's been put on that top line, and you know he's been good for it as well.
Yeah.
Good high energy, bit of skill. Like I say, he set up that goal in that big comeback against Telford where he could have got it, been a bit greedy and selfish, but instead played the clever play and squared it to Bonner to put it into an empty
Shows
net.
he's learning from those other players around him.
Yeah. So for me, I'm going to go for Mr. Bruton.
Listen, I'm going to go for the obvious choice for me. I sing about him all the time. But genuinely, I think Alex Kent's become a real solid third line player for us. Obviously, at the start of the season, he was pretty much sitting on the fourth line waiting for a shift, wasn't he? And I think in the back end of this season, especially when there's been bans and different things like that, he's grafted. He's got a couple of the best helmet evers from his teammates, and chipped in with some goals. And I'd really like for him next season to kick on even more, and not have to do the 2 ways with the Jets, what he was doing a lot of this year, just to get some ice time and make solid. But I think Matty and the boys mention Slice a lot and say like how much he has grafted. So for that, I'm gonna go Alex Kent.
Nice.
Chrissy?
Yeah, personally, I haven't been to as many Seahawks games this season as these ones, but I've seen an improvement in Tom Stubley. Seems to be more consistent than he has been, and every time, like 9 times out of 10, when someone's back intercepting, blocking shots and stuff, it seems to be Stubley from what I've been seeing, and it seems to be right place, right time, good positioning. So yeah, Tom Stubley.
Yeah, like that. Good show.
He was actually my second choice. It was close, so yeah, I'd agree with you on that massively. Next category, goal of the season.
Can we all just agree now?
Yeah, let's just agree. Specs penalty shot.
Emil Specs penalty shot, where he went up against
Sam Gospel.
Sam Gospel, yeah, in the Leeds playoff games.
Should we insert clip here?
Yeah. I hope you enjoyed. An absolute joke shot.
Unreal.
Moving swiftly on. Last category then, boys, and it is unsung hero.
I'll go first on this one. I'm gonna go unsung just because it probably didn't seem as likely at the start of the season, but for me, Jason Hewitt.
Yeah, I feel like I've peaked too early with Hewitt now. Could have done it in some era.
No, that is a good one. I like that one.
Yeah, just what he's done in the team, and obviously getting that all important winning goal the other night against Telford, or like the other weekend, was massive as well. But he clearly has taken a leadership role in there, whether it's officially or unofficially. But stepped in for Matty when he's needed to, and you can see the difference in the boys and the second line when he comes on the ice. So yeah, for me, Jason Hewitt.
He does run this town though, doesn't he?
He does run
runs
this town.
So fair play, like that. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next if you want.
Yeah.
Mine's a bit of a random, not a random one, because I think he deserves it massively. He's another one that came in this season. James Spare. I don't think James Spare gets the credit he deserves at all. Puts up points, happy to go on the second line, happy to go on the third line. I feel like the players around him on the third line have massively improved, and I think he's a massive part of that. Yeah. Last year we ran a Bain line. In Hull we said Bain for like kids. Just based off the younger lads. Spares he's been the centre in the Bain line or whatever, or moved around that line obviously, and I think every time he's on that line looks credible, and he has that experience to tell them not to jump in, or just like manage that line really well, and like I say, with the assists and the bits and bobs that he's chipped in, I think James Spare deserves an unsung hero for me.
Good shout.
For me, and Chris might follow me on this, but I'm going to go for Burns.
Yeah, fair.
Lee Bonner, he's like you say, sort of half season gone, he's come right into his element. I'm thinking back to obviously the Leeds playoff games again where he scored that big goal to get the win away in Leeds, and he has just done that a lot. Sort of second half of the season, he's scored the big goals when we need them, and like you say, I don't think he gets the credit of like an import or anything like that, but when we saw that we lost the likes of Ulrich last year, I think Bonner's certainly getting to that level now.
I agree, yeah. There's a big gap to be filled, wasn't he? And Burns has filled that.
Yeah, he's reached that 50-point mark, but he could easily get to 70 points without a shadow of a doubt. He's good enough to do it. I think, like you say, it's just he starts the season a bit slow, maybe. Yeah. But once he gets
didn't help that daft ban that he shouldn't have got either, did it?
Well, no, that didn't help. That's just his game.
Well, I don't think it was deserved still, and that was a little disruptor sort of put, because he was in great form at that time as well. So fair play to Burns. Chris, are you in agreement with us?
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I don't think you could sing about Burns enough, to be fair, and if he was sung, it'd be the unsung hero.
Hey, love that.
Love that.
Well, that concludes our little game we've been playing. We're nearly at Coventry, so maybe we'll see you all there.
Cheers, guys.
So we're going to do things a little differently now. We're going to go into the Final Four as a whole, but first of all we're going to start with the player of the Final Four. I think you want to announce it, don't you, brothers?
I will do. Just want to say there was a few candidates that we could have chosen from here. Clearly players going in with this winning mentality and wanting to put on a show for the fans, knowing that every fan base was going to be there, was evident. But for us, there was one man that really stood out, and his team went and won the playoff weekend. So that guy is Ross Venus. He got 3+1 over the 2 days. But you could see, couldn't you? And he also won the MVP. He was absolutely phenomenal. So
yeah, I was going to say, with you saying that he stood out to us, I think he stood out to everybody in the end, and he was a class act all weekend. So yeah, absolutely, he was mint. So well done.
I think over the course of the season, it's an interesting one, really, isn't it? Because MK have never really had someone who's like their guy. Swindon's had Bricknell, we've had Sobchak, Leeds have had, well, there's sort of some of Kieran Brown, for example. But MK sort of all chip in together. So the fact that he's got 3+1 probably to other people would make it look like he hasn't had as good of a weekend.
I would say that people probably would look at Cowney and say he should have been the man for the big weekend, which I know he did get involved. Of course. As the weekend went on.
I think even their fans would probably agree with you, because there were Milton Keynes fans was obviously neighbours, and there was loads of them shouting for Cowney. So I think he's obviously built that relationship with the fans by his performances, and they was probably
he was their top point scorer, wasn't he? He had built.
More to that point, like that, I'm saying, us just watching him this weekend, I'm quite glad he got the MVP, really, because the amount of work he does off the puck as well is fantastic, and it's a whole testament to that MK team, the fact that they got through that, and you can see 8-9 players who were instrumental in that, really, can't you? So it's
I do agree. I think they are a side where there is 4 or 5 players that will all chip in and accountable on a big day, big night.
All over the ice.
So just one main man, which we'll come into it and talk about main men of the weekend. But we also just want to make a a notable mention as well to somebody else who we thought had an absolute mega weekend. A guy we've got a lot of love for. I'll leave that to you, Rossy.
Yeah, definitely. This guy got probably not single-handedly, but had a massive part of his team qualifying in the semi-finals, and obviously he scored his team's only goal in the final as well. That of course is Nathan Salem for the Peterborough Phantoms. Kicked off the weekend 45 seconds in and showed a real statement of intent against Swindon, who were unbeaten in the playoff groups, to sort of say we're not laying back here, and I think Peterborough as a team in the semi-final were fantastic in regards to their game plan of how they went about it. Nath obviously got 3 goals in that game and was fantastic, wasn't he, lads?
Oh yeah, he came out of the blocks, and to be honest with you, I think people were sleeping on it a little bit. He just came out straight on it. It was fast, intense, like you could tell like he just really wanted to get there in the final, and
for me it
he had
seemed
a job to do, didn't he?
That early goal he scored, what you mentioned there, I think that really fired him up for the rest of the game, didn't it?
Yeah.
Scoring so early, and I think we alluded to it before we started recording, but like first time having like a big weekend like this for Nathan Salem, he'd never been to a final or whatnot, so
also got a third goal as well, which was obviously
59 to steal the hat-trick.
There was a couple of us trying to steal that away, weren't they, saying it didn't go in on time, but I'm glad that he got it, because
absolutely,
testament to him. A hat-trick was well deserved on that night,
and
then obviously got the goal on the power play, but again, I don't think it's reflective of his performances in that final. He was all over the ice.
He was massive.
Regardless of how many goals MK had, he was grafting, even right to the end. And I think Ross Venus did ultimately deserve the player of the Final Four, but Nathan Salem was a very, very, very close second. So well done, Nathan.
With that then, lads, we'll actually start talking about the actual games themselves and what happened over the weekend.
So first and foremost, we'll start with the first of the semi-finals, which was the Swindon Wildcats against Peterborough Phantoms. We sort of just discussed a little bit there about what happened in that game, but without discrediting Peterborough, I think we only really all saw this going one way.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think with this one, obviously, the record Swindon had going into this game, obviously the only team to qualify from their group, maximum points, we all agreed in the end that they would go on to probably win the full thing. A lot of Swindon fans loved us for backing their team, and in the end it just didn't seem to happen.
Peterborough just went out there with a game plan and executed it fantastically. We sort of said earlier, didn't we? It was like they give them a game, they got that third goal, and then they just squeezed on them, didn't give them an inch, and just put it to bed relatively early on. I mean, obviously Swindon pulled the keeper, so it very easily could have been equalised, and we could have been going into that 10-minute overtime. But no, Peterborough had a phenomenal performance there, and I just don't really think Swindon was on it. But we saw some of their guys coming off the ice, and you could see what it meant to them, couldn't you? They've
absolutely gutted.
Blood, sweat, and tears have gone into this, so to come away with a loss was really heartfelt. I think for us as fans, and obviously we do have a bit of a soft spot for Swindon. It's quite hard to see, but that's what the competition's all about, and I do think that the better team came out with a victory.
I mean, I was personally rooting for Swindon. I'm not going to make any odds about that. Obviously, me and you spoke off camera last weekend, didn't we, Az? And we said that the fact that Brad sort of backed them, we thought, are they going to face it yet? But it was a massive shock, I would say, and that's no disrespect to Peterborough. Peterborough are seen as sort of a defensive team, but did they defend well? And did they just executed their plan perfectly? And I really want to put some emphasis on this, because we spoke to Anthony Russell, didn't we? Over the weekend, absolute legend, by the way. Thanks for stopping and talking to us. And we had a discussion, and it was almost as if Peterborough came out of the blocks really like lightning quick, got their goal, and then sort of sat back. There was Chris, who came with us as well. He sort of said, he said to me at one point, he said, "These guys are playing Jose Mourinho hockey, these." And I was like, "What are you on about?" And he said, "They've got a goal and now they're squeezing back and they're inviting Swindon in and then just going boom." And it's true, like the amount of times that sort of Swindon had to do that because they were behind, and it's sort of knockout hockey. And Swindon and Peterborough did that really well, I think, and I think they deserve a massive credit for that, because ultimately Swindon sort of chased the game. It was never really like a oh well, you know, Swindon are going to take it here and they're going to run away with it. Like, Peterborough always seemed in control, and Anthony said, didn't he, playoff hockey suits Peterborough. So,
because had we have flipped that, had Swindon have got the lead, it could have been a completely different story, because they wouldn't have been chasing for that goal, and they'd have probably done the same thing to Peter, gone, all right, we trust our solidity at the back, so bring it on, and we'll just keep you at bay.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think Swindon are the more technical team out of the two of them, and I think they wanted to come out and just sort of play their game and knock it about and do this sort of nice look inside of the game, and Peterborough just went no. I think the first couple of bits they were just absolutely slamming the wall, and I think you could tell with some of the Swindon players, you know, they sort of got the puck, but then they wanted to get rid of it quick because they knew what was coming. They knew there was going to be a Peterborough player in the face straight away, and I think that set the tone for the game. And once Peterborough, like you said, got a goal, then 2 and 3, I think like Swindon was just like, how do we get back into this? Because I'm almost scared to have the puck there and do something with it. And then they just couldn't really generate out at all.
You mentioned obviously about the hits, how hard there was, and there was a moment, wasn't there? It was either Bricknell or it was Tower
close it and
going down the line.
He smashed it. He smashed someone near our board, and then 2 passes later, it was in the net, wasn't it? It was like I was actually gonna comment on that, because you know you saw Plews and other people on the team sort of try and claw back in by being physical, which, you know, it's not a bad idea against the Peterborough team who fancy themselves, but it was crazy, wasn't it?
They knew the line, to almost like in the end Swindon was like, okay, we'll play physical, but it was just kind of like, now we've drawn you into the physical game, you haven't watched the guy who's now scared.
Yanni Leikonin's just sat on that blue line, just like, give me this puck, one skate through, knock it back, and there's a goal.
And I do sort of appreciate what Swindon was trying to do there. Like, Blues, we all know, it's like a train, doesn't he? So he was thinking, well, I'm going to put myself about a bit here, and if you think you're going to come in and play the physical game, I can play it. You've got to do
that to big players, haven't you?
Exactly.
And we're going to talk about that more in the final, aren't we? But it was a really well executed game plan by Peterborough.
It was a weird watch, in my opinion. I don't mean like that in a bad way. It's just when you when we predicted the game, I just never saw that happening. And I know I've been to the playoff weekend before, but it did surprise me seeing it again after a while, just how hard and how fast it is. Like, it's sort of like, you know, the form book just went out the window, and everybody who you think you can bank on, it's gone. Just because as soon as that puck dropped, and it was like you say, you saw the balls just wobbling with some of the impact of the players. It was
quality, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think we mentioned it, didn't we, as well? Like, can you imagine if the full season was officiated in that way, where a bit more
just let it go a little bit, silly little things that, no disrespect to the Northern referees or whatever, but in Hull, like, there's a couple of moments where like that would have been a penalty in ours, and stuff like that. But it was good that it was just able to be free flowing. Like, you know, the final went absolutely rapid, didn't it? Like, it was like, oh my god, it's finished already. But that was just because the referees allowed it to go. Like, it was really enjoyable because of that as well.
And it shows, you know, the level that these players can play at. And I don't actually think it's their fault. I think they will play more conservative if they think, I'm going to get boxed for every little thing I do. Whereas if they know the refs probably had a way and go, we're going to let this flow beforehand, so you know it's going to be intense, it's going to be hard, we know there's a lot at stake. You let it flow, sort of think, alright, well, it's on the line then, isn't it? Everything's on the line, we'll leave everything on the ice. That's the key.
For me, though, as a player, I don't think you'd want to be playing 60 regular season games and the hits are that hard.
Can you imagine?
I don't think a lot of people would see the season out, would they?
There does need to be some protection.
Absolutely.
Season management rather than game management.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's true though, isn't it? Like, again, these guys aren't full professionals. Some of them are, obviously. But they're not all, you know, they have to get up from work on Monday morning, don't they? So.
So I think we've already established that Nathan Salem was probably man of the match in that one for Peterborough. Anybody who sort of overperformed maybe for Swindon for you? What did you think? I was personally, I thought Bricknell might have had a bit more. I remember walking by a Swindon fan and somebody said like, this is Jake Bricknell territory, this. Big atmosphere like this, loads of fans there, and they expected him to really be on his A game, and he just sort of struggled to get into it a bit, to be honest.
Yeah, he was sort of behind the curtain sort of thing. It was a bit of a shame really, because I'd have loved to have seen him like light up the weekend this weekend. But again, that's just a testament to.
It's one of them things that, like, how much can one singular player do if Swindon are already being squeezed and are trying to push for something and nothing's really falling for him? What more can he do? But he won't really get any opportunities, and for one player to do all of that work is tough, isn't it? And I think had Swindon have got the first goal, they'd have had a little bit more freedom to play, and you might have seen him come into action a little bit more. But a bit. I wouldn't say underwhelming, but his performance was a little bit less than I expected going into that. But shall we move on to the next game?
Yeah, I was going to say we'll move on to the next game, the other semi-final, which was probably the highlighted one of the semi-finals as well, wasn't it?
I think it was about 6 beers deep into this one, so
I think it was on double figures.
I don't know whether it was the alcohol or not, but this was an amazing game blocking. This was I left. I'm sure we left after this on the way back to put spoons, and I said if that was the last game, then I'd be happy with that, because what a game this was. By the way,
I think the hype behind it as well was what set it. It would have been later in the day as well, so you got that appetite of the day in that first game, and then, you know, once the fans started a bit chirping, and you could just really feel the atmosphere building
just
for this one.
Yeah, noisy, busy fans, with plenty there, 2 blocks. It was and we was right slap bang in the middle, weren't we? We was sandwiched by it. It was like we obviously there's clips and stuff that we've put on over the weekend. Players scoring and this, that, the other, and wow.
So what are you making of this one then?
I mean we've obviously talked about how tight this was, but first and foremost, I wasn't too sure. I thought this could have gone either way, definitely, but I didn't expect it to happen the way it did. I thought one team was probably going to get the lead. Like, I think if Leeds had taken the lead early, we might have seen a bit of a different game, but Jordan County came out, didn't he? Got the first goal on the board. And I think we was all pretty shocked about that, to be honest. I remember being sat there and thinking, what are Leeds going to answer to this now? Where's it going to go for them? You know, they didn't push too much, because I think they knew the quality they had in the team. Like, they didn't need to. You
mentioned this, Azza, as well in the stand. You said when MK scored, you said, look at the Leeds players, they're not phased. Like, a lot of teams bottle it and think, no,
panic
goal.
stations.
Exactly, you said it perfectly. Like, there was all just like, we can get a goal back.
Just reset. We will score.
Kept the composure.
That's the thing with Leeds. Obviously, double winners this season. You know, they've been in the trenches and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Just conceding a goal's nothing to them. It's like you say, it's not a if, it's a when with Leeds. You just waited for them to get that moment.
Speaking of which, came 2 minutes later on a power play.
Absolutely. Like you say, Matt Barron, which we will say now has been announced as he's no longer going to be with the Leeds Knights. Which was a bit of a shocker to us, really.
Big shock for me, that. I've been singing his praises all season. Like,
on the power play, he's been really good this season.
He puts up a lot of points as well as a team, big all that.
So but he stepped up and he was on there with a power play goal. Just for me, while we're talking about the game, I thought this was very similar to the Swindon Peterborough game in terms of the sort of game plan. I think Leeds were a bit more reserved, like you say, they've been in the finals, they're a bit more relaxed, whereas MKO was just like, no, we're here to set the pace. And I think they was doing the same, where they was coming out with a bit more aggression, but controlled, but like a bit more zip. And you could see it straight away, they was trying to unsettle Leeds a bit more.
I was going to say, let's talk about how hard and tough Milton Keynes were. They were solid, weren't they? And their player coach Tim Wallace, his experience really showed, didn't it? In this game, he came out and his hits was so technical and calculated. Like, when he was hitting people, they were flying, and and deciding when he was going to hit people was just massive for them, because they seemed to be able to turn over the puck and get back in control of it. So
it's a really interesting one with MK, because there's been this whole thing all season of them having 4 imports with Tim Wallace. So, we spoke to an MK fan, didn't we, and they said that the reason why they think that Spadafor wanted it is because he gives away a lot of penalty minutes. That being replaced by Tim Wallace, who's obviously played to an amazing level, like ex-NIHL and things like that. He's gonna ooze experience, and you can see the way he goes around the ice, and even things like when the puck's in the defensive zone, he starts skating towards his own blue line. It's like, what's he doing here? And then 30 seconds later, the puck goes to exactly where he's got it. It's like, he can read a game in with like 5 minutes before it's actually going to happen and stuff. It was really interesting to watch, and And yeah, you are right. Like he definitely led by example, didn't he?
Yeah, I think Milton Keynes was really good. You know, looking at, I don't think they ever didn't have the lead in the game, which was obviously massive for them as the game played out. The longer it went on, because it was always a hard fought game. Like you say, it was always one goal game throughout the entire match. Which you know, is credit to Milton Keynes. They knew they had to keep the back door closed as well as keeping the pressure on Leeds and trying to shut them out. And we eventually got to a nice little, what was it? Was it 4-3? 4-3 before it all really started kicking up.
And then it was a case of, okay, now it might be time for panic stations for Leeds. And within 9 seconds towards the end of the game, they get that goal.
And
which was huge.
The ovation was crazy.
And it just happened to be the poster boy, Kieran Brown, to do it as well. You know, unassisted goal. Absolutely fantastic, like you say, he just coasted in there. You know, it was a bit obscure to us and we could see it. We just saw him sort of somehow get the puck in the net, and it was just a madness.
And
just
we was cheering, not that we're Leeds fans, but just for the phenomenal.
It was pure enjoyment, wasn't it? That was all it was. It was
just
the absolute enjoyment of the whole situation, being next to the MK fans, literally next to the MK fans on the end of the road. How loud and audacious they was.
We do have a little video actually.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. Your face was a picture. Like I remember panning to all three. You two, and Chris, and your face as soon as the score is like like genuine. Like I can't believe that's happened.
Yeah.
You're like, I was like, because I've got a load of MK fans. I remember that for like forever.
Yeah,
it was unbelievable.
Unbelievable, wasn't it? And then that obviously forced the first and only time we had overtime in the weekend.
Yeah,
it was
and the rules were different.
This new 10-minute format, and you know, it did tell in the end, because as you look, it was 65 minutes and 12 seconds.
Yeah,
so we had over the 5 minutes.
So that would have been a shootout.
Yeah, so we just went over the 5 minutes before, you know, Dylan Lawrence scored the game-winning goal, which again came off a real sort of, well, where's that come from?
Before, obviously, just to mention, like, how do you feel about the fact that they brought in this sort of new rule for playoffs? Because I don't ever recall that being.
I really like it, to be honest with you. You want teams to win it the right way. I think in any sport, I think it's the same when it comes to like football and stuff. You don't want it to go down to a penalty shootout, do you? You want the team's
like
class, a bit of magic, which in this case I think it was. You know, Dylan Lawrence comes out of nowhere, sort of half gets round the back of Gospel and taps it into the empty net. You want that quality to be the reason why a team wins, not going to a shootout.
And I'm wondering if these teams knew beforehand, if that's before it got announced and stuff, like how long before did they know that was going to be the rules for the playoffs? Because you know, this can sort of separate the wheat from the chaff. If you're going, okay, you got to play 60 minutes and potentially another 10. For some teams, that might be like a backbreaker. Like, when we're not gonna reach.
I think it changes your whole style of play, because instead of just having 5 minutes and you think, right, there's going to be 3 lands and you're going to be just going at it. You've now got double that time. You've got to be careful how you play that 10 minutes.
You can't just let your big guns loose, because that's
longer for the intensity to build up and the mind it starts wandering.
So 5-4 overtime win, MK.
Do you think it was the deserved win then, lads, ultimately?
Yeah,
I know
I do.
teams were really equal, weren't they? Like, a fantastic game, but I personally
I think MK was good to win it in regulation, to be fair. As much as I love the fact that Leeds had snuck that late one in to make the drama of the game,
well, I
thought MK was good for the regulation win.
I was literally, coming off the back of that, I was thinking to myself, when that happens, so Leeds scoring and it goes into OT and Milton Keynes are already thinking we've got it in the bag, to then have to be like, oh my god, we've got to go get back on the line, reset and get your head straight. Like, they did that, and that must be hard to do when you're already been so close to.
I think it was good though that in some respect Tim Wallace had that little time before the overtime period started, for his experience, as we've just mentioned, to say, do you know what, lads, don't worry, we haven't been behind in the game, we reset and we go again.
And what character from them to go out and actually get it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, probably the hardest game of the weekend.
Yeah, people have said about MK bottling it and stuff like that, and with the league and things like that, and fair play to them.
Yeah, that's just put added fuel to their fire on it for this playoffs, I think. So.
Yeah, 100%.
So that now leads us to the final.
So
MK and Peterborough.
This point, Saturday done, back out on the beers.
Let's just mention before actually. Was back out on the Sunday, won't we? Went in. Billingham and Slough.
Yeah.
I was so impressed with Slough. What about you guys?
Yeah.
Well, I was under the impression that Billingham were going to come out and
cruise
they were the team.
I've heard a lot about Billingham this season. Obviously, we follow NIHL North updates on on Instagram, and they're fantastic with, you know, like keeping us updated on Spraggan and stuff. You know, like great guy. But yeah, like all this stuff that I've heard about Billingham, I was really surprised at how one-sided the game were. Slough was so tidy, weren't they?
Yeah, I just want to say, unfortunately, I don't really know names because I don't follow it much.
No.
91 for Slough was absolutely mega.
Yeah.
He was my main man of the game.
And the keeper, by the way, Smithsell.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God!
I
What a mountain he is!
Yeah.
I tell you what, if you're getting paid good money in that league, fair play, but he could cut it our level, 100%.
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
Mega.
But they just seem like a well-oiled machine. Like, I don't know how long that team's played together, but it looks as if they've played together for
They
a
just
long
pulled
time.
Billingham around, didn't they?
One of their players was like 48 or something.
Yeah, nearly that. Ex-Swindon Wildcat.
Yeah, crazy stuff. But they look like they're a well-oiled machine. Obviously they must have been playing together for a while, and
good mixture of like young lads and like seemed like a few older as well. Didn't it? Just the full little thing.
I'd like to say I don't think it was like real like fancy hockey. It was just simple,
solid,
good passing,
power
good
plays
movement
in the right spot, back post, bang. It was like
Billingham was chasing shadows at times. Honestly,
felt a bit bad for him, to be honest. Seemed like Tommy Spraggan was on the ice for the full game, didn't it? Like, and I did really feel sorry for him.
He almost had probably the goal of the weekend as well, mate. I just got ruled out.
And he got ruled out full length there.
Full length, dipped between two, got round the keeper a little bit, and somehow managed to squeeze it. You did see the puck go behind the keeper, but I think like the goalkeeper just kind of pushed against the post, and I think the ref was a bit eager on the whistle, and he didn't fully have it.
They said they called it out for referee being in the crease.
Yeah, and I think that's because he obviously blew the whistle and was going to retrieve the puck, and in the end, obviously, the puck was still active.
But yeah, overall, I thought brilliant.
Great game, good daytime entertainment hockey, and trying to for the build up for the night time.
Yeah, fair play both sides, and more importantly, congratulations to the Slough Jets for winning that one. Absolutely massive.
Go on then, you can carry on with your story. Sorry for interrupting you there.
I forgot what my story was.
We forgot
the full weekend.
I was going to say
back on the beers and
brain cells
gone, guys sorted, and
we obviously came into the Sunday a little bit hungover, bit tender, but excited. That game sort of got us fired back up for it. And before you knew it, MK Peterborough finals.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, the scoreline for me, I wouldn't have expected this, nor would I really have wanted it, to be honest. You want a nice, gritty, tightly fought
that semi-final between Leeds and MK.
Which doesn't take anything away from the performance, may I add.
No, definitely
because,
not.
you can only go out there and play how you play.
I'm not going to lie, I feel like, of all the results and stuff this weekend, this was the most reflective of the game, because, wow, what a performance.
Yeah. Definitely, and MK would have known what Peterborough did to Swindon the day before, so they didn't come in. No way did they come into this game thinking, well, this should be the easier of the two that we've played. Like, we've got through the hard work, so we'll go play Peterborough.
If you're in a final, you make your event,
they definitely did not think that. So.
Yeah, I'll make a comment and it'll follow on to, I know one of you two wants to mention it, but I think these two played a very similar style of game both in the semi-finals, and it continued into this game. Good God, the hits and the pace in this was absolutely wowzer. And I know one of you two wants to make a comment specifically about a certain person and what happened, so I'll leave it to you.
Is that the Tim Wallace?
The gaffer leading by example. Jesus, do you want me to take this?
Yeah, go on.
We've been talking about this for ages, haven't we? The first chance he got, he splattered Cam Huff, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
And you know what? You don't want to see good players getting injured or whatever, but before that game, you can guarantee in the change room he was saying, I want everybody finishing every hit, no backing out.
Yeah.
And if you don't, I'm going to show you how to do it. And literally, the first chance he got, you said, didn't you? He was good for it on the Saturday. By God, that might have been hit of the weekend. It was behind his own goal, what he can have. Wallace has skated pretty much the full length of the ice to absolutely bury him on a nothing puck. And that sends a statement that, and to be honest with you, again, no disrespect to Cam Huff, and I'm really excited to see him next season. Don't think he was in the game after that.
I don't either, and I made the point, didn't I, of it's the calculated hit from Wallace. Like, not only that you say you got to finish your hits and make sure they feel it so they don't come back for more, but knowing when to do it, and he just took that opportunity against Cam and just
and then what followed? Every single MK player was like, well, if the boss is doing it,
out. Yeah.
However old, I'm going to do it as well,
Yeah,
and bang, bang,
It's
bang,
so-
bang.
It's sort of like a start as you mean to go on, so what can we get away with in this game? And then Wallace hits Huff and he goes flying, and they go, okay, so that's a level of contact we're able to get.
And he only got 2
get out
minutes.
of this,
He got 2 minutes for it, didn't
just
he?
a
That was it.
boarding
And he
call.
was screaming, wasn't he? He was
Yeah.
like, "You're joking!" Blah 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 blah.
Mm.
But that did not deter the MK Lightning whatsoever, did it? There was like,
No, it didn't. So obviously, as we'll go into it, MK took the lead just shy of 10 minutes on the clock. Then followed it up. Ben Solder clapped one from the blue line.
Yeah.
I think he was a bit surprised it went in the back of the net
Yeah,
when
he
it
was,
did.
yeah.
But nice two goal lead. But then Peterborough finally got one back through Nathan Salem.
yeah,
Again,
a really nice
on the
move,
power
by
play.
the way, on that power play.
we
It was-
noticed how Nathan Salem played
The
his sort of PP, and he
Really
just
nice.
starts at the offensive blue line, drops back onto the defensive, and then wheels round
Yeah.
and comes in late so he can get that drop
Big
pass
slap,
and
innit?
claps it.
Yeah.
And it was
Nice
absolutely
goal, wasn't it?
picture
Yeah,
perfect,
it was
wasn't it?
good.
Yeah.
And it was typical of Salem on the weekend, really. It was absolute
Yeah,
class.
definitely.
But then obviously MK was like, no, we're not having it this close, and
Yeah.
came up with a third goal and took
Yeah.
the nice 3-1 lead into the first period break, which I know we was a bit like,
Shocked, yeah,
didn't
we're
expect
shocked,
that result going into the first period break.
Yeah, and do you know what? When you look at the remainder of the goals, it could have stayed like this for a while. You know, the next goal being a power play, then they got a shorty, and then but by the end of it, the game was sort of dead and buried.
Yeah.
But it was really good to see. And to be fair, I sort of felt sorry for Peterborough. I definitely felt sorry for Nathan Salem.
Yeah,
and I did feel sorry for Hayden Levine as well, because he's had a phenomenal
let's have a
season.
yeah,
so.
he's worth a mention as well. Wow, he was brilliant, wasn't he?
But on that front, you gotta tip your hat to Ross Venus. I know we've given him the player of the final four, but he really did come up clutch, didn't he? He got the power play goal and the short-handed goal, so he just buried it there and then.
I think there's another member of the MK Lightning that you wanted to mention too, and
Is he?
there is, mate. What was the moment of that match for you? When you was talking
headless
about?
save
Oh
in
my
that
God.
first period.
No, right.
It's pretty much an open goal, and somehow he's managed to do the splits and reach his arm out and just take it away. And we were sat just behind us, the Peterborough player was
Massive
about to
moment,
slap
that.
it in. And like you say, that was at 1-0 that.
Massive.
And you just thought, up, goal, and then to see it not, the back of the net just not even move, you're like,
Yeah.
what's actually happened? And you see the puck in his glove and you're just like,
There was
no.
actual audible like, oh my, like no right. Everyone
Big
was
moment in a final.
Like, crazy.
And that was,
That's
that's
some
as good
sort
as
of-
a goal, that.
Yeah, big
Yeah.
time.
You know what I mean? And he made a few good saves during the
Yeah,
game
he
as well,
did.
to be honest with you.
He was-
I'm not being funny out. You've seen it in sport. When a goalkeeper's in that form, you just think, what have I got to
What
do?
am I going to do?
Yeah.
What do you have to do to score?
Yeah.
And he was class.
He's not gonna
It was
be against
headless,
his life
absolutely
there,
quality. Yeah.
But no, it was absolutely fantastic. Like I say, just again mentioning Ross Venus killing this game off with a power play goal and the short-handed goal.
Yeah.
And there was question marks over this to begin with, especially seeing how Peterborough played the day before. You think, ooh, MK might struggle against this one. They just came out and
I think,
showed them
like,
up.
yeah, not to be like disrespectful, but there seemed to be a lot of mumblings about like MK being bottle jobs, weren't they?
Yeah.
Or at least it seemed like it to me, and a lot of people was like, oh, they're going to bottle this, you know. And the people
Yeah.
said it against Leeds. Oh,
Yeah.
you know, they failed to make the final four last year. They'll bottle it now. They're here this year,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't. And then people said, oh, they'll bottle it in the final. Don't worry. And they didn't. There was
No, they didn't.
there was class all
Fair play to
weekend.
them,
Yeah. If I was an MK fan, I would be buzzing with my team.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Got a
Doing
feeling that'd be,
Yeah, definitely. So
It's it literally like, I think Max Stewart put something on Instagram that was like MK versus the world, you
Yeah.
know, as a caption, and I thought, yeah, you know what, you bang right there, because everybody in the league was like, they're gonna bottle it, you know, they lost the lead to the Leeds, and you're gonna lose it, and nah, like it, as that tight knit group and a fan base,
yeah.
that night where they went back to the MK ring.
Yeah, I was surprised by that. Even on the night they went back to their own ring.
Can you imagine how mega that'd
Yeah.
have been?
Some do
That'd have been
that.
some do, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely
to capitalise and
fantastic.
finish off then, lads, MK taking it 6-1 in the final.
Yeah.
Deserved winners.
Yeah, definitely deserved, and it made for a great weekend.
Yeah.
I do think the best team won. I don't think anybody.
Begrudges that.
Yeah.
No.
Absolutely not.
If I was an MK fan, I'd be buzzing. If I was an MK player, I'd be proud of myself
Yeah.
putting in performances that. So
Yeah, congratulations to all
Congrats.
involved with MK Lightning. I hope the fans didn't over enjoy it.
yeah,
I'm sure we'll be knocking about next season to give you a good run for that title next year. We
Yeah.
hope.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
That'll sort of take us into the next part of what we're going to talk about, won't we? But that sort of wraps up our big talking point as to
Yeah.
as to sort of which tied in nicely with our player of the week. But yeah, we're going to sort of go into now the little ramblings and bits and bobs around the league, aren't we?
Yeah, so that finishes up the look at the fixtures. Join us for our big talking point. So now we're going to go into our big talking point. We're going to talk about, obviously, the whole weekend as a whole at Coventry, some of the new rules, technology, and a few signings that have kind of happened and rumours that happened over the weekend while I was away.
Yeah, there's a few bits to mention really, and it's we decided to put this as a big talking point because of things cropped up over the weekend that we thought is obviously worth talking about. But rather than focusing solely on one of them, we just thought we'd go
open it up.
Yeah, open
it's
it up.
very
Go
much
for it.
A or B, any other business, isn't it?
Yeah.
As we wrap up.
What did we find out at the weekend?
Yeah.
And what?
I'd be interested to see what we actually remembered from the
Yeah.
weekend.
There'll be a couple of people now that's like, oh no, don't worry guys, we've got you covered. We have got a few things under our, but you know, no, in all seriousness though, yeah, we're going through a couple of points which will be quite good. And
yeah, so I'll go with the first one. I think it's quite an obvious one. Basingstoke Bison back in the league for next year.
Yeah, massive that, innit?
Yeah.
We mentioned a couple more games on the passes, but instead of 11 teams, having 12 is just going to be fantastic, and obviously it's going to create more opportunity for players to get back into a team. And we mentioned, you know, teams getting signings done is going to be even more important now because you've got another team to contend with.
Absolutely.
So I'm really interested to see how that's going to be, but buzzing to see him back. Obviously for us, we haven't seen Bison, have we?
No, first season we might have.
I think you might have caught him first.
We might have just caught him first season,
yeah,
but we haven't really seen him in full flow.
Not really. So we don't know much about. We know of them obviously because they've always been included and stuff, which has been fantastic of the league to still include them and stuff.
Yeah.
But now we're really excited to see Basingstoke in all of its glory upon its return.
Yeah.
I think obviously we've mentioned in a few episodes about how the league could develop, what's next for obviously our league and whatnot. And I think obviously the addition of a team is that first step in it, really. You know, more teams, more competition.
Yeah. We spoke previously about like Fife and stuff, like the potential of them coming down. But the fact that Bison's actually been confirmed and they are back and there's 12 teams in the league now is brilliant.
It feels really good, doesn't it, for the league in general when you can sort of look at it. And this season, I don't know, as much as a Seahawks fan, we felt like it was a bit of underwhelming in terms of our performance, but for the league itself, seems to be like reigniting or igniting. I don't know if it would be reigniting,
all the time,
it's growing. It's getting better. There's more things to add to it. You know, more technology coming in. It just seems to be taking off. Highest attendances for teams
like
in the league,
matching
now Bison are back
and things like that. Like, fantastic.
It's just huge for the league. I think if you are a team, but certainly you're not in a team and you're part of this, you should be buzzing excited, because I can only see this now going one way, and that's upwards. So yeah, big. Just that was one of the first announcements of the weekend. The second being, we'll mention it now because it can sort of come part and parcel. Increase to 4 import spots per team. So not only have you got a full new roster introduced to the league, you now got an increased import spot. So I've seen a little. Well, we've seen a little bit of talk out there saying, okay, but what about, you know, netminders? Is it British players? Is it taking away, you know, their spots? Well, with the addition of a team, probably not.
Yeah, that's 18 new spots for British players on the road.
We saw that comment, didn't we, on social media over the weekend, where somebody was quite brutally honest and said like, the standard of a lot of British players now isn't up to scratch to play in this league because of where it's at.
Yeah.
There isn't enough good players to fill the rosters, so unfortunately we have to fill it with a few more imports, unfortunately.
Yeah, but getting them imports in only makes them have to raise their game, so it's surely it's only a good thing for the standard of
bringing a non-British trained player to here, which is a country that is not generally an ice hockey country, is only going to improve the standard of the league. And again, people have said this around the league, you know, sometimes it's easier to get somebody in who's an import than relocate a family that are, you know, say in Swindon, for example, to go up to Solway and, you know, things like that. So I can really see benefits for it. Yes, that might mean that on one of the spots, you know, one of the players drops down a league, but if you're already on
the netminders, we've got some of them find themselves being a second netminder rather than a first if they choose to go for an import net.
As savage as it sounds, if you're already on the fourth line, is it a really bad thing that you might drop down the league and get more game time and then prove yourself again and keep that two-way, things like that? I personally am really excited for it, and I think for the Hull Seahawks, obviously us as fans, I think it's much needed. I think this year we sort of lacked a defensive import, if I'm being honest, and I think that could take us to the next level.
Yeah, well, you've said this, haven't you, now for a while, that a defensive import for us is going to be like game changer.
Just because of how influential.
Brock last year, he was so influential. Obviously, he was the highest scoring D-man, and I feel like that as much as we had a bit of a risk when he went forward, where we could sort of get exposed at the back, he scored way more than the risk out. The risk outweighed the reward outweighed the risk. So I think it'll be huge, and especially when you look at the D-men we've got signed up already. In like Phillips, with Stubbs as re-signed as well. We've already got a solid defence there. That import. No, defence spot might just...
The nice little talking point for me would be that a lot of people are just like banging on about the imports now. They're taking like a lot of spaces, but we're starting to now see a lot of like elite league players now wanting to drop into our league. A few players have already made the jump. They've probably said, do you know what, this is actually a half decent league. If you don't want to be like fully professional, having to do it on that level, getting on a bit, drop into our league a bit, it's still good quality. And I think players need to now be scared of like not just imports, but the elite league players dropping into our league.
Full-time players,
and even the league
because they're obviously already at a serious level.
Players in our league, like say for example, up towards like MK players, I'm sure there'll be players there who aren't imports and will be on a full-time wage and stuff, or there'll be players that are taking player coaches role. Like for the Bison, for example, if you're an elite league player knocking on a little bit, and then someone says to you, "I'm going to offer you this player coach role." Second tier hockey, so it's not as intense and you're not travelling as far perhaps, but you're also at the helm and you can create something. That's got to be appealing, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And who wouldn't want to play along, elite league players? It's still a decent going, isn't it? And especially when a lot of them are coming from GB as well. Imagine like being like a young British lad coming through and you're playing alongside somebody who's in GB.
For me, it's the whole product. Like you mentioned, okay, you might get some elite league players dropping into our league. We've got more imports, but alternatively, look at how good the league is below us as well. That's increasing. You've had Vladimir Luka drop into that league and absolutely rip it up. Telford Tigers too. I've never heard anything more. I've heard more about them now than I ever have since he's gone into them. If it means that some of the players in this current league have to drop down, then it raises their league to a better level. Meaning people
British ice hockey just improves at every level, doesn't it?
It just goes, it gets better at every level. So.
I understand people get worried. I mean, why wouldn't you? It's like in a job, innit? If somebody comes in, you're like, oh, where's my standing in the job now? Yeah. And I get that, but at the end of the day, it's all progression.
The thing is, look at the Bees, for example, this year. First half of the season, they couldn't get 15 players together. That helps, doesn't it? And I know, especially now with Basingstoke coming back, because how many players are going to go from the Raiders and the Bees and teams around there go back to Basingstoke? There's a lot of players who, when the Basingstoke Bison not folded, but withdrew from the league, they had to find new teams. But if they live in Basingstoke, there's an appeal there, isn't there? Or I'm going to go home and reignite the Basingstoke Bison. We need these extra players in the league. So
also, can I just say, I think it was very clever that the NIHL did it on this weekend, knowing that the whole fan base was going to be together. Probably really most of them in the Wetherspoons. They're getting these announcements and getting people talking.
They went on the blocks, didn't they?
The innovation was great, because it weren't just them. When they said, "Please welcome back," everyone was pretty happy about it. That was a real nice touch.
Really positive reinforcement.
It was good.
Message to them.
That's the beauty of it, isn't it? You're welcome back, and it was great.
So we've mentioned the Bison, import slots have gone up, and a bit of technology. So we didn't bring it up when we was talking about the games, and this is definitely something we've talked about earlier in the year. And we was a bit like, what, when this was announced would be happening. So it was video sort of playback on things that happened in the game. So VAR, as it's called, obviously, in other sports. This was used in the first game.
Yeah, no, and I think this is good because we've obviously talked about this, like you say, previously. But how many moments have happened in this league where something's been called wrong? Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Exactly that. That could have, changed the course of the season for certain teams. So I think it's a really good thing. I think it works very well, to be honest.
It did.
It didn't get used loads, but when it did,
just the ones.
It was.
I thought the referee was fantastic this weekend, and I think the way that they used the VAR was fantastic too. It wasn't a massive break. There weren't like a 10-minute delay. It was really quick. Went straight over, looked at the monitor, used the VAR correctly. I think if this can be implemented across the league,
it was just obviously unfortunate what happened to Telford last year, and obviously it's one of those things where it's reactive. So it had to happen where we had that issue for it to come in, and I know Telford fans still won't be happy about it, but I think it's a good thing it happened because the league had to then be like, right, what do we do?
Even if you found that it was again a little bit like football. Goal goes in, no one celebrates until they wait for the VAR call. Like, even if it started going down that route where it got a little bit, oh my god, everything's going to go to VAR now, you could switch it up and go, okay, we will do the video review, but only for a captain's or a coach's challenge on it. Then if it started getting too much, you get 2 challenges, you use it, if you get it, you keep it, if you get it wrong, you lose it. Something like that. That'd be.
I just think when you look at other sports like rugby do it, football do it, and they use video technology. I'm not being funny about, but you've got a goal this big and a ball this big. We're talking ice hockey where players are in there, the puck's big and it's being jammed in. Video needs to be used because the fine margins and spaces where you can't see in the naked eye. I think it's been called
and again, there's streaming it across the board, isn't there?
Yeah.
Surely there's some way in which you can set some sort of camera up.
Well, I've noticed a lot of rinks now have a view over the goal.
That's right.
Behind the goal,
video replays. You're right.
Over the goal, and you've obviously got the view on ice. Whilst I think some of their footage, like we mentioned, Telford the other week, their streaming service needs to improve. This might force it to improve if they had to use.
Oh yeah, if it comes round the full rink, it has to be standardised and it has to be a set level. No questions.
But that's money Planet Ice could put in that.
Yeah.
Let's raise the standard of our league by offering this extra service. And again, a bit more excitement. Oh, he's used his coach's challenge. Whoa.
That'd be massive. That's how I think you should run it, because it does have the potential, like I said, to sort of just run on, and before you know it, everything's been.
You slow it down and it becomes like American football. Then
so
it's like the Super Bowl. Oh, hang on a minute, we're here till bedtime, are we?
Yeah, exactly.
No,
I genuinely don't think it would cost an astronomical amount.
Yeah.
Genuinely, if Planet Ice adopted that, was like, okay, we're gonna implement that and put it into place. That'd be great for the league. But again, just circling back to the point, used really well.
It was.
Yeah.
And it was nice to actually see it be used, if I'm honest.
Yeah. We had a good view as well, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. It was just nice to see how it would actually work in ice hockey, and the example we had was really good. So,
I imagine if you asked 100 players, 80 of them would say, yeah, I'm bang up for that. Especially the forwards though. If your goals are getting ruled out, or you're a netty and you think, I had that in my hand, and if you give that goal,
not the goal off its thing again. No, but I was just gonna go on to what you just said there. You've got players. If you ask them all, what are they gonna come out and say? Well, I think all of them would be up for it, because as much as you hate to think about the possibility of being on the receiving end of it, also you might be on the other side of it where you've just got a goal, power play goal, 9 seconds in, 9 seconds towards the end to take you into overtime.
Yeah.
And the referee's gone, no, the referee's in the crease, so it don't count. Yeah. Well, actually, if it got reviewed and you managed to get that goal or something.
Yeah, for me it'd be interesting to see where the limit is. Obviously, we're talking about goals here. Do you then look at potential bad hits and stuff? Does that get
that already does,
player safety and stuff like that? Ref, that hit was quite bad. The point you just made about the challenges and stuff like that, I think would be mega. Yeah. Ref, you give him a 2-minute there for boarding. Yeah. Just not see how he's gone in.
Yeah.
Again, have a look at it.
You'd see loads of cross checks.
I think for the players, obviously, we're not talking about the highest levels. So these guys are going to work on a Monday to Friday, and I would feel a bit better in my mind knowing that. I mean, obviously, you're still going to be hurt. Don't get me wrong, but at least there is that protection there. It might just put some people off for going in for a bit of a
It sounds really stupid. When I've bought the stream previously from Ticketco, It was early in the season. They gave it was like message the WhatsApp if it's not working, and they sent me like a YouTube link, which sounds ridiculous. But even if in each box the YouTube link was there, and you know the referee wants to look at it, you can just you can literally double tap on YouTube and take you back.
Yeah.
The referee can watch that 2 or 3 times. There's a live link there. Yes, it might not be up close and personal and things like that, but even that helps a little
just
bit.
something to review your own mindset,
you know what I mean?
just like you say in the
Gives the
moment, you
referee
think, how did that actually play out? But at least
30 seconds to look and make the right decision.
I did see that, and
yeah.
I'm going to stick with
Do you know
it.
what I mean?
Yeah. I think this one is a massive one, and we've already talked about it, and it could be, something.
So you heard it here from the Slapshot Syndicate. We love VAR, but it needs to be via a coach's challenge just to make it more interesting.
That would be nice.
And to follow up what we said earlier in the season, we'd love to see like refs mic'd up and then say their opinion on the incident in the actual.
Yeah.
Cool.
What it is they're calling rather than waiting for a delay after someone's already been boxed, and then you might be 30 seconds afterwards and you hear what they're being called for. Referee calls out the
referee's thinking, to be fair.
Correct.
Yeah. So that sort of brings up the 3 little points we wanted to talk about there, and the sort of last thing would be to talk about the success of the weekend as a whole.
Yeah.
You know, we're all wearing these sick hoodies.
Yeah, we are. What a good touch.
Yeah, these were class. These.
What a good touch.
Yeah, I liked them all. Every team that we saw knocking around was really cool.
Yeah, the success of the weekend. The main thing for me is just seeing like how ice hockey fans just gel. Everyone sort of appreciates each other, don't they? You might be at a rink and everyone starts chirping, or you'll see on the forums people complaining about fans. But when you go there, everyone's just there to celebrate ice hockey.
Yeah.
It's nice to see.
So it's like a community, isn't it?
Yeah.
More than anything.
Yeah.
It's just amazing to be a part of.
You see that, and that is the absolute what you want to sell the sport as, don't you? That people can come together.
That's why it's a family sport. We talk about it.
Took the words out of my mouth there.
Yeah, all this other stuff on ice. Yes, they fight. Yes, you might hear a bit of bad language and stuff in the rink.
But when it comes to the base of it all,
about.
community.
It speaks volumes how many kids and stuff are there and involved. And, it's fantastic, isn't it? I think this weekend really showed our league how. People from outside our league how fantastic it actually is, and the weekend was an absolute success, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was. I know there was still some people saying they'd like it elsewhere though. I know I said it to you too, but I know Sheffield was another location that was brought up, but it's just not Planet Ice.
Yeah. Slight issue, just to go off topic a little bit. Merch. So you'll see we've got our Final Four puck. Did you notice the programme? Have I really seen that?
Yeah.
So it's 2025 final, and then has he got it?
I brought it.
And then on the programme down here, the date says 2024. So I don't know. It's proofread.
Someone's done a whoopsie there
prior to it going out, but. If I had one small thing to say, it'd be double check your work. Yeah. But no, it's fantastic. Just this programme alone, some of the content that's been put into it. Then we've got the write-up here from Owen Sobchak, which has been done by Anthony Russell from Banners on the Wall.
Real good read.
We've had a good read of this, and it's absolutely fantastic. This is what it's all about for me. Yeah, putting people in the spotlight, putting good people in the sport that can do this stuff. In the spotlight.
It's a well-made programme, isn't it?
Another thing, imagine a monthly magazine or something, like an NIHL National magazine, like subscription service or something. Trademark Slapshot Syndicate, actually. Slapshot Syndicate magazine coming soon.
Slapshot Mag.
Slapshot Mag. En route.
Honestly, it's just fantastic. You've got here from the QR code to be able to order from Crosby's Bar. You've got the map of the arena, the rink itself. With the ice pad and stuff, you've got pictures and the write-up on the league leaders. You've got write-ups from, like banners on the wall on players, giving them an opportunity. You've got information on who was in the Group A players, Group B players, how that all played out. It's just very, very good, and I think credit to them.
A lot of work's gone into it, just not the last bit of work, which is proofreading it.
I think
you fell at the first hurdle. It's the front page.
It is the tiniest detail, but unfortunately for them, it's the first thing that everybody looks at, the first page. But in general terms, I think it's just a really good piece of writing. You've got it on a lot of teams here. I think that it just raises that quality. You want us getting on the EU vodka giveaway.
Yeah.
You had the Budvar giveaway. Just made for fantastic content. You've got the Billingham Stars and the Slough Jets right up, giving them a bit of exposure. Just a really good touch. So I won't drag on any more about that. I just wanted to mention that.
Emphasise how good.
Yeah.
Again,
Emphasise
another
the quality
brilliant
of it.
contributing factor, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Really good.
I think the only negative I saw from the weekend was the second day. So a lot of people was trying to sell their tickets on the second day, because obviously
they've got
Leeds, Swindon or whatever,
Yeah.
they're being knocked out. But obviously once you've scanned your ticket once, you get that wristband.
Yeah.
And there seems to be a bit of a sting up about that, didn't they?
Was it
Obviously-
selling them to sort of like Billingham or Slough fans who probably wanted to go in for
or even
for that
MK
game?
Peterborough couldn't get them, and then you
Yeah.
get there and you scan it. You literally
We
outside.
heard about like MK and
It's
Peterborough
a
fans
shame.
travelling up
It's
after
a
the
shame
final
that,
got to
innit?
the
Like,
final.
it's a bit of a bad deal, that really,
Yeah,
like a bad
it's-
twist on the
It's
end.
almost a bit like, unless people generally didn't know they couldn't sell the tickets.
but that's on the actual individuals that
Yeah.
did that. We can't sort of
Maybe-
poke that in the
No,
direction
no,
of
no, no.
Ice because they're.
Oh no, it's not their
Top
it's not
tier.
their fault. Maybe they could do it differently though. Okay, where
That's
you
what
can-
I was trying to get
where you
at. Maybe
book-
that just needs to be reviewed a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
maybe you book it, but you get two separate tickets for a
I was
Saturday
going
and
to
a Sunday.
say, maybe sell it as a Saturday or Sunday
Yeah.
as a whole, so you can then sell on your
Different
half
coloured wristbands. You do the
for each day.
a different colour for the
Yeah.
Saturday where you scan
Sure.
one, and then the
Yeah.
next day you scan
You
your
didn't buy a
Sunday pass,
weekend
get
ticket, but
different
just
colour.
get two separate wristbands. Because I know it was a bit of a ball ache as well, with people being like, I've had to borrow sellotape from my hotel because my wristband's broken.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that. But
Yeah.
that's really nitpicky, that, isn't it?
Yeah, I
Like,
just think that would be the only thing to maybe
Nitpicky, yeah.
improve and maybe look at is
Yeah.
how that works. But other than that, I think it was an absolute cracking weekend.
smashing, yeah.
Yeah, really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to going again next year as the Syndicate and Chris.
I will
Big
be
shout
leaving
out to
last
Chris
minute.
as well.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You know, I literally, we recorded last week, and I think like the Tuesday I was buying my ticket.
Yeah.
Don't blame you.
So-
And it made it for you to be there, mate.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. It was class. And I think we're just going to finish up now with some bit of rumours and whatnot we did over the weekend and
Ooh.
some confirmed dealings.
Rumours and some confirmations, actually, yeah.
Yeah, so the biggest one of the weekend, and I know we'd heard it from a few different people, was that Jake Bricknell was going to leave the Swindon Wildcats.
Yeah.
It was a bit like,
Really
surely
good.
not the superstar, Jake the Snake leaving Swindon. You didn't think it was going to happen,
We've
did
been
you?
chirping about this project for Swindon, haven't we? And bloody hell, it's like taking away your right leg, innit? You
Yeah.
know, like,
Mm.
what's that about?
Yeah.
We've seen him do some crazy stuff this season, like you say, we saw him
Yeah.
sit down gospel and score.
Yeah.
He pushed that 100-point mark,
Yeah.
nigh on top goal scorer. You know, he's been absolutely class. And
So did he know he was going to leave?
well, I know
to
we mentioned this
weekend?
beforehand. He was, maybe I was a bit harsh when I said underwhelmed, but he wasn't his normal self, was he? And was it because he was mind elsewhere? Like,
One
this
eye
is
on
my
the
last.
door.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gone here.
It's a shame.
You know, it's always
Potential.
interesting, isn't it? You never know if it's been disclosed early on
Yeah.
and Swindon knew he was leaving, or is it a
Sure.
last minute sort of thing. But it was certainly the big rumour of the weekend.
It was.
Yeah.
It
certainly
was.
took us back.
It's a shame, really, because again, Swindon do have a really good base. Obviously, they've got Reddy Maher and Tyler Plows, and you know,
Some of them younger
another
lads coming
individual.
on.
Yeah, they've got like Glenn Billings still, Chris Jones. So you know, they have got a really good base there. Brixie would have just sort of like, you know, still like,
Solidified it,
we're
yeah.
coming back next season and we want blood kind of thing.
Especially with when we're going to now who Swindon have
Yeah.
signed as a confirmed signing,
Exactly.
which is Ben O'Connor
Yeah,
Yeah.
from Dundee.
from Dundee, GB as well.
We
You
were
know.
just talking about that one with the elite
Yeah,
lads.
so quality
Defenseman.
defenseman, elite league, GB coming in. I'm sure they would love to have kept Jake the Snake up top and
Backed
bringing
up
in
even
with
more,
GB defensemen.
Yeah.
So maybe soften the blow a little bit for the Swindon fans. Now that they've now got a
That to me
Yeah, player in there.
almost feels like an import signing without the actual import.
Yeah.
Well, we
The-
sort of had that, didn't we, with Phillips when we found
Yeah.
out he was coming into our team. Didn't we?
Yeah.
yeah.
Good CV. Didn't know.
The only thing is like that. But I guess it's relative to any player really. With Phillips, we sort of banked on him replacing Brock, and it sort of fell on its ass a little bit.
Yeah.
But I guess
Injuries and-
at the same time, you could get an import player in, and then they get injured, you know. But
Yeah, so you sign on the day. You can't predict.
You can't predict the future,
No,
can
no,
you?
absolutely not.
But Ben O'Connor, like I say, with the fact that Swindon at present don't have any import signed to them technically,
Mm.
you know, Ben O'Connor coming in and, you know, with all the experience he's got, like you said, with GB, that'll almost feel
Yeah.
like we've got Ben O'Connor, we've got the lads who we've got, Rennie Maher,
Ben O'Connor
etc.
with The train next to him.
Yeah.
And oh mate, can you imagine that duo? And 4 more imports to come in, like.
Yeah. That is
Over
an
there,
awful
serious.
Keep an eye on Swindon, everybody.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on them.
And then the Leeds one, the double header, which I know you want to correct yourself a little on this one.
I had a nightmare. So I was talking about Matt Barron, and I said, yeah, the defenceman, because I was thinking about McMullen because of this. So I apologise. It's been a long weekend, plenty of beverages, like we said, and I'm just getting back to normal. But yes, I'm very much aware Matt Barron is an import forward, and he had a fantastic season this year. Well done, Matt Barron. As well did McMullen, but unfortunately,
They both have left Leeds Knights.
I was shocked at this,
Yeah, so obviously after not a great weekend at the playoff weekend for Leeds, Ryan Aldridge just come out and just been like, do you know what? We're changing this up a lot this summer. And it was kind of like, ooh, what does he mean by this?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, we're now at this point where 2 quality players who would probably walk into nearly any other team in the league may add.
Tell me
now
a team
left.
that wouldn't,
Well, it's a really interesting one.
He's probably thought this league this year has been too close to comfort for him.
True. You
So
know what?
it's
That's
like-
not a bad show.
We made this comment over the weekend, and I don't think Leeds have been Leeds as good as Leeds have been.
We said that, didn't we? Yeah, I remember
this.
saying, I can't remember what it was that we were saying, like.
Leeds haven't been Leeds, but they've still done a double.
That's yeah.
And I don't know, maybe
in comparison to previous seasons.
maybe when you win in and it just becomes a bit easy and you think, oh, we're just going to storm it again. Do you need to freshen it up and add new faces into them?
Because again, like you
Yeah.
said, MK have sort of been like, we've played these X amount of times over the last 2 years. You start to figure out, well, they don't like this, they do like this, and it is important to keep that fresh and stuff. And rebuilds maybe what they need, but a title and a cup win this year, I'll be interested to see what they do because. Them 2 are 2 big misses.
Yeah.
But Mullin, I'm a massive fan of.
And they're confident in replacing them. So that is, a big one to look at that one.
It's interesting to note as well, these guys aren't going to other national teams or English teams. It has been said, hasn't it, by Leeds,
Going back home.
they're going to pursue opportunities in Canada, so fair play to them. I mean, if you can play in your own country, especially Canada, a massive hockey country like that, then all good luck to you guys.
Okay, so are we going on to our last
We've got one more as well.
Jordan Ma?
Solway Sharks.
Yeah, big signing.
I'd say that.
I'm a big advocate of the Ma brothers.
Yeah,
goals.
I think Rennie gets a lot of credit, doesn't he? And obviously deserved, but I think Jordan's come to.
Do you know what
though?
Arguably, I might be a bit biased when I say this, but when Jordan Ma played for the Hull team, I thought he was absolutely bang on. I thought he was class. And obviously Jordy then went to Peter and he was class as well.
Yeah.
Won the playoffs.
Yeah.
I thought he was really at the peak of his powers.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sound like harsh or anything, but like. Maybe because he started a family, he's gone to Solway.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just slowed him down a little bit. He's enjoyed a good season there, but I think Rennie's like now out of the 2, he's really the top one.
Yeah,
but they're still both very good goaltenders, and I'd be happy for either of them to have signed up with us.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, 100%.
Big for Solway that one to tie up a really good netman early on.
A solid base. I think every team needs a solid base, and if you've got someone between the sticks that you can trust. Especially with Jordan, like you said, perhaps going back for family reasons, he'll be happy at home, like surrounded by family and stuff like that, and that's quite important. The psychological side of,
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
we're travelling and stuff like that with a young child.
So I think fair play to Solway for a really good signing in Jordan Ma there. I know quite a few people have jumped on that, like in that post and stuff like that. So it makes me wonder who else they've got as well. So Solway might be another one of those who we need to keep an eye on.
We've mentioned about them and how they are at the Shark Tank. They've made it a bit of a difficult place to go at times. And I think if they continue on that sort of trend of making their home gaff a real difficult one, I think they'll do well.
I hope they can sort of build some away form next year, genuinely, because I did feel for them the fact that they have to travel maybe 6 hours or whatever.
The thereabouts been a very good playoff team, though, aren't they?
They are, and I think with maybe like an additional the extra import this year, it might push them over the line. That I'm excited to see what they're going to come away with because their imports this year were great. Dunbar and Gardner. They were really good, weren't they? And Arsenal, obviously.
Yeah. So that leads on to the last one, which I'll let you do, Bradders, but this one announced while we've been mid-recording.
I was going to say, for us now, this is news just in, so...
Breaking news!
Walker Sommer re-signed for the Sheffield Steel Dogs.
The league's top goal scorer.
Yeah.
I mean, what more would you want? It's Sheffield there, you know. We've mentioned how they're sort of petered off towards the end of the season, but putting him back in the squad for next year is massive.
Yeah. Crazy. Can't say I'm a little bit surprised at this, if I'm honest. I think he's a phenomenal player, and Sheffield have had quite a underwhelming season. So it makes me think that Sheffield must have something cooking to try and keep a player like him. Otherwise, I would have expected him to go elsewhere.
Is it?
Unless there is something in the line for
I think
Steelers.
There's been a lot of mistakes, but a lot of lessons learned this season with Sheffield.
And their people have come out and said, you know, everybody outside of the organisation will look at this and think we've flopped, but however we're building foundation, which is interesting. I agree with you there. I think is there an aspect as well of them having Steelers money sort of thing, you know, like they'll obviously be supported through that pathway that they've got there, which again I'm a massive advocate for. I wish we had it in Hull, Sharks, Jets and Seahawks, but you know, they've got Scimitars now and the Steel Dogs, and there's no reason if Walker Summer doesn't put up the numbers that he did this year that he couldn't do the same as what they've done.
He just needs the support around him, doesn't he? Like you say, you can obviously find the back of the net if he's given half chance.
And of course, let's remember the Steel Dogs did look pretty good with Sam Tremblay in the team, who is returning.
As long as like Steelers don't come back in and then take him away for a long period, because it sort of fell away a bit once they took him away. And I don't know
like we said, they're their own entity as well at the end of the day, not just a feeder club.
I mean, surely Sheffield want to be Elite League champions and National League champions.
How great would that look?
If both teams are winning, then that's quality in it for development.
But just massive congratulations to Walker Summer. That's some big news for you. We'll keep this stuff coming as we move on. But I think that wraps up our big talking point, lads.
Yeah, and with that, I think it wraps up our episode as well, boys. Unless you've got anything else you want to throw out.
No, not particularly.
Yeah.
There's just. Obviously, want to say a massive thank you to everybody again. We mentioned it at the start of the podcast. We had a fantastic weekend this weekend. It really showed us like the support we've got from people. The liking what we're doing. We really appreciate it. It was nice to be stopped, talked to, asked for photos. We
were genuinely taken aback.
We was.
We're not going to sit here.
Humbling,
we're not going to sit here and look down their nose and be like, we're the Slapshot Syndicate. Like, we're free ice hockey fans. And the fact that people wanted to come up to us and be like, hey, I really like your podcast, thanks for doing that. That just made one person saying that to me was like, we're doing something really good here. It's something we absolutely love doing, and the fact that we've had so many opportunities and people being so nice to us has been fantastic.
The standout moment for me was the volunteer coming up to offer us a genuine thanks for us saying thanks. To the volunteers, but we didn't do it for that. We did it because they genuinely deserved thanks for what they do, making this stuff tick over, and to get some appreciation or an acknowledgement that we actually reached the people that
like you say, we didn't go to the playoff weekend for this. We wanted to go because we're ice hockey fans and we wanted to watch the games. And obviously, people actually wanting to say thanks was, if you'd said to me before the weekend that people were going to come and talk to you, I'd have been a bit like, we're nobodies. We're just talking about ice hockey, you know what I mean? But do you know what? I'll mirror what you say there. Absolutely, thank you to everybody who did pop along and give us kind comments. It's sort of re-energised us a bit on it, lads, going forward. We've already got stuff in the pipeline, but now it's pushed us on a bit more. We're not going to stop over the summer. We've got bits and bobs to keep us ticking through. So as we said before, stick with us. There's plenty to come.
Yeah, definitely. Big thanks again, guys.
Thanks for watching.